Hello and welcome to High Caliber TV, your source for figure and model updates every Wednesday and Friday. So today on the Workbench, I'm just going to be showing the finished Marines in Afghanistan from HobbyFan, and then I'll be talking about the track links in the second part of the video. So as you can see, there's been some streaking, some final sort of dry brushing and weathering on the jersey barriers from last week's video. And of course the Marines themselves are complete. And I'm really pleased with the way the Arid Marpat came out. It's not precision Marpat, like if you squint at it, it looks like Marpat, but I didn't do full squares for the most part. I figured that with the weathering and all that, it'd be obscured enough that it'd come out quite well, and I'm quite pleased with the end results, honestly. So I've had a lot of questions about the colors that I used, and so I'm just going to run that down really quickly for everyone. So, basic, the fatigue brown, the sand color, is just a mixture of these two from Life Color, and I sprayed that on, and once that was dried, instead of doing my normal counter shading with black and white before I spray anything else on, what I did was I just hand painted extra dark brown into the counter shading standard areas, you know, places where the shadows would lie and places where I wanted there to be extra definition with the successive spraying. And so then I added another coat, a slightly lighter coat of these, so favoring this. I think it may have been just this, actually. And then over top of that, the next largest, it's not an island because it's digital pattern, but the next largest blobs are a gray-brown. And so I used a mixture of all of these Citadel paints and came up with that. And then over top of that, the final sort of the little ticks, the little square patterns in the Marpat, I used dark brown from Life Color, and they turned out quite well. I'm quite pleased with how close that color came, and the other one with a lot of gray in it. They all have gray in them, all the layers, but the second one has the most. And then over top of that, I added some more, just some fine detail painting with the Geldbraun, and that just sort of made everything sort of cohese together, because with the digital print you'll get blocks coming through the other islands, so it's a good idea to sort of break them up after you've applied them all, and that gives it a much more digital look. The reference that I used was the Osprey book. I think it's Elite, or maybe it's Elite, I think, and it's Marine Uniforms 2000 to 2012, something like that. So it goes through all the evolutions of OEF, OIF, etc., etc., and it's an absolutely fantastic book. It's comprehensive for one of their, you know, they're 70-page books, so they're pretty thin, but this one had a lot of fantastic photos. So yeah, and if you're really trying to figure out what I'm talking about, just type in Marpat, Arid Marpat on Google Images, and it should give you a square, like a swatch of the uniform, and that'll help. Oh yeah, so for the uniform standard brown for all the kit and the body armor, what I did was I used these two. This is pretty bang on as far as I could tell, but you might want to thin it down with a bit of gray or a bit of dark brown depending on what stage you're at, and then this one's a bit lighter and it's a bit more rich, so I went with this for the successive highlights. Every highlight, including the edge highlights on the standard uniform itself, were achieved using Screaming Skull, and this is standard if you've seen any of my other builds where I talk about the layering process with acrylics. This is what I used. For the washes, I did not do oil rendering on this project. I didn't want it to look exceptionally dark. I just used a few inks from Citadel Miniatures, or Citadel paints, so the black and the dark brown were used overall. Yeah, came out quite well. Thanks everyone for all the feedback on Facebook. I really appreciate that. That was really awesome to hear the community feedback on a project. Just makes the project that much more satisfying to complete. The weapons, of course, are replacement from live resin. That's the only thing that I replaced on the kit. And there's nothing wrong with the HobbyFan weapons. I just jump at the chance to sort of craft my own and spec them out for marine stuff with all the extra live resin bits. So yeah. Yeah, I really like how these guys turned out, I think. The pastels I used were from Life Color, if anyone's wondering, and they're especially thick and heavy around the lower parts of the pant legs and the boots. So yeah, let's talk about tracks. So here is a large section of the track link, and this is from AFV Club. It requires no glue, no adhesive, and so far this portion has no glue to it and it still works, so I'm really pleased with that. It's a time-consuming process to get all this stuff together, but so far it's coming along quite well, I think. So I just wanted to talk briefly about how I do this, because I've come up with a system that I really like. So you can see the pairs are what are joined together by these end parts, and so they tell you to put 5 links together and then take 5 of the end bits on the sprue here and cut them into links of 5, sections of 5, and then you're supposed to slap that onto the side on both sides, and it's supposed to go together really quickly. What I've found is trying to get every single thing lined up. You have to be a savant to make that happen, and extremely dexterous. And so what I do is I just cut them into sections of 2, into pairs, the end parts, and then you apply those, and then as you can see, this one's already done up. So then once that's on, you'll lock the next track link in, and this bottom part here is already held on, so it's keeping this piece in place while you apply the next pair onto the other side, and then you rinse and repeat however many times. But yeah, it's coming along quite well. As you can see, there's a lot of, I mean, they move really well. There's a lot of cleanup to be done, but they aren't quite as bad as everyone was making them out to be in the personal messages that I got telling me about the horror stories and about how fragile they were going to be. And they are fragile. These things are definitely not Freud model metal tracks, but you know, they work. So thanks very much for watching. Check us out on Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter for stock updates and Workbench updates, etc. Check us out at highcaliberminiatures.com for 35th scale figures, a lot of fantastic resin stuff that we've got. Just go have a shop, take a look. Be sure to email me if you've got any questions. That's the best way to contact me, frankly. Better than Facebook or YouTube or anything like that. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.